There was a wealthy and wise master who was leaving his house to travel for a while. But before he left, he entrusted 3 of his servants with different amounts of his assets that were known as talents. Each of the servants was given an amount equal to their ability to use these talents. The first servant received 5 talents, the second servant received 2, and the third servant received only 1. When the wise master returned, he asked each of the servants what they had done with the talents that he had given them. The first and second servants explained to the master that they put their talents to work and that they were able to double the value of those assets. These 2 servants were rewarded. They were given more responsibility and were able to become masters themselves and were asked to join their master in his joy. But the third servant, who was afraid of losing what little he had, he hid and buried his talent. And because of this, the master took the 1 talent that the servant had away and gave it to the servant who now had 10 talents. There's a phrase that comes to mind when I hear this parable. What you don't use, you lose. This parable from the Bible goes on to say that those who have will be given more, and those who don't have, what little they do have will be taken away, and basically they will fall into darkness. This might seem like a very pessimistic outlook, but let's dive into this idea a little deeper. In his book, The Winner Effect, The Neuroscience of Success and Failure, Ian Robertson describes not only the winner effect, but also what he terms the loser effect. Robertson's research reveals the dangers of staying in a cycle of defeat. When self-doubt, fear, and those limiting beliefs that we've been talking about in previous lessons take over, it can lead to decreased confidence, altered brain chemistry, and a propensity for future failures. Opportunities pass by unnoticed. Risks feel too great, and your potential to multiply your talents is lost to the passing of time. Question: do you find this depressing? Or do you find it relatable? Or do you find it empowering? Remember, how we perceive reality deeply influences our ability to function effectively. Anyway, the good news is Robertson's research also brought to light the positive side of this parable. If you use and invest your talents wisely, you can multiply them. The winner effect shows how just 1 victory in life can increase confidence, alter your brain chemistry again, and lead to a higher likelihood of winning in the future. But get this, despite the impact of past results, the winner effect and the loser effect are both deeply rooted in our perception and our mindset. And our perception and our mindset are part of our identity, and identity can be shifted. The choice of which effect dominates your life, winner or loser, is within your grasp. We often focus on our failures more than our successes. Both shape our identity narratives, which are the stories we tell ourselves in our head. But reclaiming your past victories and acknowledging your strengths will allow you to harness the winner effect in your life. He will come ready to clean the grain, separating the good grain from the chaff. He will put the good part of the grain into his barn, but he will burn the chaff with a fire that cannot be put out. Luke 3:17, New Century Version. For you to start shaping your identity into one that is in line with your vision and start to harness the winner effect in your life, you need to first separate what is good about you from what is bad. And through fire, the broken mirror that reflects the fragmented image of yourself that we talked about in a previous lesson will be melted down and integrated into a unified whole. You need to separate your wheat from your chaff. Lay claim to your virtues and your victories, and learn from and integrate your vices and your failures. Parable of the talents clearly isn't just about external wealth. It's a metaphor for your internal resources. Within your head is a wealth of resources waiting to be mined. We all possess unique virtues, skills that we've learned from past experiences, and beliefs that help our growth. Often, these remain hidden under the metaphorical weeds of our failures, fears, and self-doubt, much like that third servant's buried talent. I'll remind you here again, you may have failed, but you are not a failure. You only really fail when you quit, and quitting should never be an option in your life. Today, you'll be a farmer of your own mind by using two simple and separate exercises. The first is identifying your vices and virtues. You can find our worksheet for this attached or in the description for this video. And you simply go through the lists and you circle all of the vices and all of the virtues that you think that you possess. This will help you to realize the good traits that you already possess that you want to nourish and multiply, and become aware of your bad traits so you can start the process of no longer allowing them to unconsciously control your fate. The second exercise is going to be about identifying your victories, strengths, and helpful outlooks. Look back over your life map that you compiled in stage 1. Assess the high and the low points that you reached in your life, and see the choices and the patterns that led you to those places. What are the victories in your life that you can acknowledge and celebrate, no matter how small? What are some things that you are doing now that maybe you have started to take for granted and you don't see as a victory anymore, but once only dreamed of? What are the strengths and talents that enabled you to overcome hard times and supported you in your greatest achievements? What are the helpful beliefs that kept you on track in times of temptation, or guided you through the darkest nights, or helped to encourage you to stay consistent on the way towards your wins? These three things, your victories, your strengths, and your helpful outlooks, are your internal assets. They are the talents that have been entrusted to you. Maybe you've been hiding these talents. You've buried them in the darkness within you, scared to use them or lose them. But the only way to see that they are lost is by never putting them to work. You have the ability to see everything that you've experienced in your life up until now as a victory. It may have been tragic. It may have been traumatic, but you came through it alive and you made it to where you are today. You can look back over all that you've been through and garner from it great knowledge and wisdom. Maybe seeing your life in this way, as an adventurer looking for treasure rather than a victim, is the cave that you fear to enter. But maybe it holds the treasure that you seek. You have the choice. Your master gave you that, to either put your talents to work and enter the cave, or allow your fear to hold you back. And where does that lead? What will you decide?